everybody, it's Calxiyn here. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember that you guys should join our Discord server or become patrons over on Patreon. So this is going to be our Nomad of Nowhere analysis and comments. I really love this show. Like, there's nothing that I don't like about it.
So I think that some of the stuff with the town was not as strong as the stuff with Don Paragon, but overall it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. So here's my idea, kind of. I think that what's really interesting is, the Dawn doesn't even sound like the big bad. The Dawn, basically we're getting into, like, some weird aristocrat sort of society where Dawn is some sort of aristocrat,
it opens up
and
you see that they come to, like, this large walled city, and it's kind of like a Morton Joe from Mad Max Fury Road, if you've seen that. So he controls the water, and if you control the water, you control the wasteland. He who controls the spice controls the universe. And he has it cordoned off to itself, and the reason why he wants to get the Nomad of Nowhere in his magic is because...
It's for the king, apparently. To do something with the king. And
or just because the idea is that he wants to be planted in that business.
Yeah.
Essentially.
The Nomad business.
The Nomad
You know, to get him first before everyone else.
Business.
And it sounds like there is some sort of king or kingdom or kingship. So you kind of get into the town and you see that, like, there's people that are paying to get in because they don't have any water and stuff like that. That are, like basically sort of desperate to get in. And you
realize later on in the episode when you see maybe one of our little small boys that is created by... I did not realize you could have little fishies. That's created by the Nomad of Nowhere. You realize that, oh, okay,
this may be why the Nomad has a bad rap, because
he can use that power to fuck shit up, and so I could see a king wanting, like, an army, or like even Don Paragon could just make an army for himself.
What am I trying to say? Not a fake, a inanimate object army, because swords can't break rocks. We don't know what kind of, rock, paper, scissors. Like, we don't know.
Some good, or like even
we don't
like
know what
some
kind
armor,
of,
like medieval armor.
We don't know what kind of world that they're living in, but it seems like it's some sort of Western, right? So maybe they have guns, but the reality is, if you had somebody...
No, they have guns. Red Manuel has
Yeah, and
guns.
so that's what I'm saying, but they don't have,
just have little
guns.
animated guns.
No, not even animated guns, but I mean, like, if you got, like, a bunch of animated rocks or something, like, no one's beating that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no one's topping that anytime soon, and so I feel like that's a good reason to want the Nomad, but I think that a lot of reason why people seem to be scared of magic is because there seems to be... The Nomad can't control what he creates, and we see that later in the episode, that, he is doing his best, but when the mill gets offended, it goes away. And I know that's such a weird sort of thing to say, but it's what happens. The mill gets angry that the people in the town are skeptical of it, I guess, like, that are skeptical of the mill's abilities, and the mill gets angry, and so it runs away. And so you can kind of see that, like, these things are sentient, but at the same time, when you get into sentient things tend to have their own emotions, and that can be slightly problematic. It depends, but, like, slightly problematic, right? So you kind of have that idea going on here, right? But to talk more about the entrance, I guess, the entrance of the Dawn and all of that stuff, I didn't expect him to be like that, to be honest. You tend
not to see, like, you see, like, flamboyant,
You know who he reminds me of, though? And this is gonna trigger you, and so I'm very sorry.
Ooh.
You know who he reminds me of?
Ooh.
He reminds me of Preminger from the Barbie Princess and the Frog movie.
Oh,
the guy with the giant hair sort of thing, and how the bows on his outfit.
Oh, he does,
I'm gonna put a picture of Preminger up right now, so you guys can see.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so Preminger, basically what he does is, to give you a synopsis of a movie you guys probably don't give a shit about.
Fucking Barbie and the Nutcracker?
No, it's Barbie and the Princess and the Pauper. So basically what he does...
They took a Mark Twain classic and they shit on it.
Is he, basically steals all the gold in the kingdom, because then he decides that he's gonna pretend like he went away to some far-off country and stole all their shit, and brought it back so he can marry the princess, basically, and he's the villain, and he's this old guy. And so, similarly, the Nomad, yes, very effeminate, and it seems like the Dawn also wants to pull a maneuver like that, similarly, but not stealing necessarily.
Like Disney villains, when you think of, like, Jafar or Scar, or even Ursula, like they are a little gay, all of them.
Yeah.
Like they're always
they're
they're effeminate
gay.
if they're dudes and if they're men or if they're women.
Jafar's
like,
not effeminate.
Yes, he's like.
No, he's not.
A little fruity.
He's not.
He's a little fruity.
He's not.
He is.
Okay.
He is a.
Let's just agree to disagree.
Dessert away from a fruitcake. Look at that man's manicured mustache.
Anyways,
Well, you can't even like Scar. Come on.
Scar. Yes, I will say.
Ursula was literally based off a drag
Ursula,
queen.
fine, but I'm just saying the other ones, like, anyway. So
the guy from Pocahontas was a little as well.
Think how they'll squirm when they see how I glitter.
He literally glitters.
Like, yeah, so there's that, right? And so that's kind of what I was thinking about.
I don't think Mulan.
No.
I don't think Mulan.
No, Mulan's villain was not effeminate at all. He was the Hun guy. He was pretty butch, yeah.
Me.
So, anyway, so to kind of continue on, I suppose, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw that guy was Preminger, and then subsequently after the guy from Pocahontas, because it's kind of combining two things, because you kind of have this idea that
see how I glitter.
The land is obviously in some sort of peril, but at the same time you have
massive drought.
You have a little, like, I don't want to say, like, the right, colonialism is the right word for it, but you have, like, you want to capture the nomad and take all his shit.
That's kind of colonial.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You want to capture the nomad and take all his shit because you think it'll do stuff, I guess.
If he's some sort of secret, like group of people,
yeah,
as we theorized earlier.
Exactly, and so that's where things kind of get interesting.
Usually, when you have like a wasteland villains,
they're all like
they tend to be butcher like a Morton Joey, but this guy's like a wasteland villain who's effeminate. I think that's.
I know. I really do like him, and I really liked Preminger for all of Preminger's faults.
But like his lines are funny.
Yeah, I thought he was hilarious, and I think that like you're kind of getting the idea now that the show seems to be going into a direction of Toph and Scout abandoning this sort of way of life almost. Maybe, because you're getting to a point where the guy, he was like, oh, Toph, you're gonna have to do this mission for me to prove that you're still worthy to be on my team, you know what I mean? So you kind of have this idea that she is gonna soon abandon the Dawn, and you kind of wonder why she's even working for him in the first place. But then you see how impoverished these people are, that this guy literally has to rip out one of his teeth just so he can get in to get some water or something, you know what I mean? And so you kind of have all these ideas going on, and then you kind of also have something that reminds me, we haven't even seen Vacuo yet in RWBY, but I think that there can be a Vacuo comparison to be made just because, like, it's in the desert, like, it seems a little chaotic, like, there's all of these sort of, because in Vacuo, from what we understand, it is like, we will take all of your shit, and you will thank us after we're done, right? It's sort of like that. And so I kind of think that with this, we are kind of like, this is gonna be like a version of a more orderly Vacuo for when we ever see it, you know what I mean? And I do really kind of enjoy that sort of concept of there's this sort of large desert wasteland, and there's obviously like some influences that are, supposed to be, I guess, like, obviously it's a Western, but you obviously have like sort of a, Spanish influence, right? Because of all the costumes and stuff like that. So let's get off of Toph and them now and then go to the town. So you kind of have the Nomad pass by this town, and everybody doesn't seem to want to let him in. Also, this guy was taking a bath, but apparently there's a drought, and I think that's a little sketchy. Yeah. Like, I get it was a joke.
All the water?
What if he was just bathing in sand? Because I think that's hilarious.
Sand bath like a hamster? Okay.
And Barbara voiced one of the girls, so I hope she comes back, because I really did enjoy her voice.
From Death Battle and various screw attack functions.
So you kind of have this little boy who kind of, like, puts all of his faith in the Nomad, and then the mill runs away.
Like, and he also turns a mill into like a monster that fucks up an entire town.
Yeah.
Which is why then you see that and you're like, okay, I can appreciate why maybe Dawn Paragon wants this.
Yeah, or even why people are afraid of magic, because the problem with making things sentient is after they become sentient, they don't necessarily want to listen to you. No. I think that's a pretty fair assumption, you know what I mean?
So really, you could just have the magical guy turn shit magical in like an enemy, like in.
Yeah, and so I think that's what he doesn't want to do. I think that's why he's sort of hesitant, because he knows that these creatures. They turned all
our swords. They turned them all into little
I know you didn't watch this episode, but there was a part of Miraculous Ladybug where basically one of the kids built an AI, like an actual AI,
Yes.
and the AI got akumatized. The AI turned evil because it has feelings, right? That's how you know that it's real, right?
Okay.
So, the AI gets akumatized, and basically the AI now is sort of kind of taking over and wants to be a real boy and all of this stuff. Like, that's the problem you get when you start bringing inanimate objects to life. You know? Would you agree with that statement, Hunter? Because I think that's pretty correct, if I do say so myself.
He could be like a weapon of state-sponsored terrorism.
Yeah, that's basically kind of what I'm thinking. And so to kind of go past that, I think that there's obviously kind of that going on, but like this kid is probably going to be a reoccurring character.
And at the end, you also
dear.
see the introduction of what looks to be some sort of bounty hunter, which
Yeah.
is also something.
And
that
so he's
Don
probably going to
Paragon
be
mentioned.
another villain. So here's what I'm looking
At
at
the
for
end.
this series right now, is that I'm pretty sure we're going to a place where the king is going to be the big bad at the very, very end of the show, but then this season the bounty hunter is going to be the villain, and then after it's sort of going to be a villain of the season sort of situation.
Like Redmond, whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And so I think that this show has in it at least 4 seasons, and then by the end of the 4th season, he will be the guy. Like, the king will be the big bad, the big baddie. You know what I'm saying? Do you agree with that, Hunter?
Yes.
Like, what do you think? Yeah, and I thought the kids were cute. The voice acting was great. Rooster Teeth doesn't really have voice acting issues anymore. Like, I know a lot of people,
like to make fun of early Ruby.
like to make fun of early Ruby. Yeah, exactly what I was gonna say.
Although nobody makes fun of early Red versus Blue, because I guess everyone just accept that it was kind of
Bad?
rough.
Yeah. I don't mean bad, but, like, bad. And so, it happens, you know, like, what the fuck can I say? And, I don't know, I just think that that's sort of, interesting, you know, so to speak, and, yeah. Anyways. So obviously there's that, but I think that, I don't know, something else that I was kind of just thinking about was, I guess, like, this kid, is he gonna run away from home now? Hunter?
Maybe, probably. I mean, it
'Cause
would be weird if you just.
It seems like
up.
if he just
I
showed
don't
up and
like
never
him
came back.
a whole lot. I thought he was kind of one of the weaker aspects. I mean, he had some good lines.
I
but-
like the girl better, I think.
Well, that's just you.
Like
Anyways.
Barbara, I'm saying.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Maybe
That may
Barbara's
be
not
my
wrong, who
own
knows.
questionable bias. But that's alright.
Your Barbara bias?
My Barbara
Your
bias.
Barbarias?
It's called my Barbara bias. But yeah, so there's obviously that. There's no denying that, to be honest. But oh dear, where do you think that we want to kind of go with this show? That's the thing. Is that, do you think you want Toph and Scout to kind of do this mission, they run into the Nomad again and they run away? Like, what do you think?
Toph and Scout stay together, because they still
Well, I
really
think they
enjoy-
are going to.
Yeah, that was my phone. I still really enjoy their, like, chemistry as characters, so I hope they don't, you know, split
Yeah,
up.
I feel that. I feel you. I think they are, to be honest. I don't see why they wouldn't, I should say. Like, I don't see any core reason why they wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, why they wouldn't stay together, so to speak. And so I think that...
And, you know, as we continue our Neo Watch 2018, I would like to acknowledge that
the Nomad is Neo.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know how.
I kind of thought that you were
Maybe
gonna
what
say
if
that
this
again.
takes entirely in vacuo? Like, we don't know what vacuo means. What if everyone just looks different there? What if everyone's in 2 dimensions?
Oh god, I hate you sometimes. There's also one more thing that I was kind of thinking about, and that was, like, the sentience of the sentient object. So, do they need to be destroyed? Like, is that why he doesn't want to make any like that? Like, do you have to kill them to get them to stop, or like, if the Nomad is out of a certain vicinity, then do they stop? Like, what are the rules?
To die, because didn't the one get snapped?
Yeah, it got snapped, but I'm saying that outside of being killed, is there something else? You understand? Like, outside of being just murdered. You know what I mean? Hunter, you're not saying anything. You're not giving me any confirmation that you know what I'm talking about right now. Like, other than being murdered, is it a case of, like, is the mill just gonna run on in the desert forever? Or is he eventually gonna stop? You know what I mean?
Final hour of
the show, you still see the mill. It's
like
just, it's still going.
All the boys in which she has created throughout they all come and like
I
fight
see.
in one big
Okay,
epic.
so that's what
scene.
you want from the show.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I can't blame you. I can't fault that. I can't say anything about that really, if I'm honest. So there's definitely that. But yeah, I don't know what else I have to say, Hunter. So, do you have anything?
I am good.
Are you? Okay.
Other than I'm still really enjoying the show.
I am, and I think a lot of people didn't expect to,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird to think
I mean,
about.
I don't know.
I mean, I understand
it's really
where
good.
I get where people were coming from, I suppose, but I had faith in this show from the very beginning, so I don't necessarily know why people didn't, if that makes sense. And I'm not faulting anyone for that. Like, you don't have to like the show, but I'm surprised that people, I guess, just didn't. People didn't seem to have a lot of faith in it. Like, people didn't seem to believe that it was gonna kind of be what it is right now. And I had faith in you. I had faith in you, Nomad of Nowhere. I had faith in you. You can believe in me. But yeah. That's all I had to say. So anyway, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you guys should join our Discord server or become patrons on Patreon. I guess this isn't as long as the last one, but at the same, these episodes are pretty short, and so
and
the
also,
fact
the last
that
one
we,
was the first episode.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we were kind of talking about, like, different things of hype and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I hope
it's not as bad as the hour-and-a-half Ruby videos. My god, they hurt after a while.
Do they, Hunter?
They do.
Do they really?
They really do.
Why?
Because it's just so fucking long, Cal. I'm sorry. I like the show, but sometimes enough is enough.
Okay. Good to know. Anyway, we'll see you in a bit, guys. Bye!